Hi, my name is Amanda, and I've been a teacher for a lot of years. If you've decided to take this course with me, you must be here for a reason. You may be wanting to take a test to get your high school diploma or to review some basic math that you'll need for a job interview. I don't know what your reason is for being here, but I'm glad you're here. To get us started, I wanted to go over just a few basic things that will make your experience better. First of all, you need a notebook. You can use a spiral, a 3-ring, you can even make your own. I've had students before to sew their own notebooks or make it however you want it to be. Whatever works for you is what you need. You just need something to keep your thoughts organized. It's so very important to organize your thinking. I'm using a notebook with 6 subjects because I am covering a lot of different things in these videos. My notebook is divided into writing, math, reading, science, social studies, and vocabulary. And you will see me moving around in this notebook as we work through these videos. In this particular video, I'm going to show you some math skills. So I'll be using the math section, and I'm going to go ahead and turn there now. So I've put a divider in my notebook for math so that I can easily find that section if I want to work with it. And on my first page in the math section, I have divided my notebook page up a certain way. Now let me take away, if I can, these for just a moment. Okay? I want you to stop this video and divide your notebook page into these sections. Now you don't have to do all the little lines. Let me just walk you through how I want you to set this up. And I'm asking you to please just trust me here. There is a reason for this. So on your notebook page, I want you to make a line that divides your page here, here, and here. You need to make 3 lines. It sort of looks like the letter I. Maybe that's off center a little bit. Do not worry about all the little lines and dots. Those are just part of my computer page. If you make this line, and this line with your pencil, you're in good shape. And you will see me use these a lot. When there is a rule or something that I need you to remember, we will be using a page like this. So anytime you see this page, this is something that will be on a test at some point. So that's our clue to make sure we keep these notes in a safe place. We need to give our page a title. And I didn't mean to do that, sorry. I want to give this page a title, and I'm just going to call it Introduction. So we are not going to be experts on this topic. This is Introduction to Place Value. And you can pause this video at any time to get caught up if you need to. You will also notice that I speak very slowly, and that's on purpose. We have some students in our class who speak English as a second language. So I try to speak slowly so that everyone is comfortable with the pace. If I'm speaking too slowly, you can play this video back at 1.5 or even double the speed, and it will speed up my voice and also the tempo of the lesson. So if I'm speaking too slowly for you, you can adjust the video speed. You can also jump around in the video. If I'm talking about something that you already know, you certainly don't have to watch the video. But if you want these notes, this important content, you need to watch slowly and let all of this soak in. You can always watch again. You can slow it down. You can pause it at any time. So let's take a look to this thing called place value. Now, if you have the textbook from your teacher, this is the lesson I'm looking at. We're on pages 2 and 3 for this lesson. We are going to start with the most basic thing about our number system. So if you have the textbook from your tutor or your teacher, you want to be looking at page 2. All right, so let's go to our notebook and let's take some notes. Also, if you have these pieces from your teacher, you can paste them down right here. If you don't have these pieces, it's okay. You can still do the class with us. All right, the first thing I want to do here is define a vocabulary word for you. And the first word is digit. So let's take a look in the textbook and see what they have to say about digits. A digit is one of the 10 symbols used to write numbers. The value of a digit depends on its position in a number. So I'm not going to copy all that. The reason I'm even having you write this is because you can't keep the textbook. We have to take the information from the textbook and put it in our notebooks. So a digit, let's start right here, is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are the 10 digits of our number system. The 10 symbols used in our number system. Every math problem that you will ever solve will have a combination of these digits if it has numbers in it. That's it. You have from 0 to 9. And those are the only symbols, number symbols, that we need. Value depends on position. And you'll see that as we move further and further into this. The value of a number depends on its position. Or, another way to describe position is its place value, the value of its place. So if someone asks you to name the 10 digits of our number system, your answer would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are the digits. So let's take a look at the most basic unit. Okay, so here I'm going to give you some units. And the most basic one is called a 1. And here we have a series of blocks that we're looking at. This is one single block. So the most basic unit is 1. Now, let me get you to think about something here. What if I did this? And you can sketch this. I know I have an advantage here because I have a computer. But what if I took a bunch of those or several of those? I'm trying to line them up, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. What if I put those together? What would be the name for the number you see there? I see 1, 2, 3. So this would be 3 ones. Okay. Now let's write some digits. Remember, those are the actual symbols. So the name is 1. The digit is that symbol. The name is 3. The digit is this symbol. What about this one? And I actually want you to do this with your notes. This is the part of the lesson where you're learning about the math, the concepts of the math. So how would you describe this group? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I would write the word 6 or the digit 6. Okay. So just to be sure that you know how to spell all of these words, let's come over here to the side and make that note. Remember, this notebook is for reference. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can draw, you can write, you can color, you can do anything you need to do to make it make sense. So let's start with 0. Z-E-R-O. 1. And if you're thinking, Amanda, I already know this, fast forward. That's fine. But I want you to know how to spell these terms. If you don't know how to spell them, you will not know how to read word problems. And that's so important because we're going to see a lot of word problems. You're also going to need this a little bit later when we talk about expanded form. Okay, 8 is E-I-G-H-T, and 9 is N-I-N-E, and there's the digit. So make sure you know how to spell these words. If there's one of them that gives you trouble, write it over and over and over until you know how to spell it. It's very important. So this is just something that popped into my mind. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm tired, so bear with me, please. But that's just the spelling of each digit. Okay, so our units, we've talked about, I can have single units of 1, and I can combine those all the way up to make up to 9. But what happens when I get more than 9? Because the digits only go to 9. When I get to 10, I have a new unit. And let's take a look right here at this new unit. Okay, this is called a rod of 10. And if you count them, you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once you get to 9, that's the most you can do is single units. You get to the next unit, which is the tens place, the tens unit. So, excuse me, to write this one, we would say, here's the digit, and the digit takes 2 digits, two digits to make a 10. It takes a 1 and a 0. And the spelling is 10. Okay. So what if I took a rod of 10 and maybe this one, let me not move it, I'll copy it. Well, I said I would. Let's try pasting. I'll use that one in a minute. I want just one of them, so let's do this one. Okay, oh, here we go. So what if I took that unit of 10? Let's not do that. Let me do this. I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to bring it over here beside this one. So I have a 10 and I have a 1. So I have an 11. And I'm going to give you the spelling of those. What if I take one of these 10 rods and put this with it? So I have 110 and I have 3 of the ones of 2 digits there. And so I have 13. Now I want you to realize something really important here, and I'm going to zoom in. If I count my blocks on this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So my final number is giving me the total number of blocks in my picture. But this is much easier to count. Instead of having to count each of those little ones, I know that 1 is worth 10, and then I can add the 3 to that to get the 13. So it is much easier to count these than to count each individual block. Let's suppose that I wanted to know how many blocks are in this entire picture. Now I could count each individual one, but that's going to take me a while. So here's what I would do. I would count my tens. There's 10, 20, 30, plus how many of those yellow singles I have, that's 4. So I have 34 of those little blocks in there. All right, I need to give you some spelling. So I'm going to come over here in this section just because I don't have enough room. And let's do some spelling words over here in the margin. So if you want to list your tens, you would have 10 and then 20. That looks like this. And then 30, 40. Be careful with 40. It does not have a U like the word for. Here's 50. Here's 60. Here's 70. 80. 90. Now, if you want to combine, let's say this is just a grammar rule. Let me change colors again. Let's say that you have the number 20, or let's use 34 because that's what we got when we counted all of our blocks. Here's the proper way to write that. You would first name your tens, and you have 3 of them, so we call that 30. And then you'll use a hyphen and the ones. So you have your tens dash ones, and this is called a hyphen or a dash. And you use hyphens for anything less than 100. What about this one? I have 9 tens, that's 90. And then I have 9 ones, so that would be 99. What about 57? So I would write my tens first. This is why you need to know how to spell them correctly. 57. So those are just some spelling rules that you would need to know. All right, then the next unit that I get to, if I take 10 of these and put them together, I'm going to have 1 of these. 10 of those green ones equal 1 of the blue ones. And those are units of 100. So let's add that to our units list. That is 100. Okay. So let's do a little bit of thinking here. Let me take a picture of this so that I can make a copy of it. And I'm going to bring another one in there. So now I have 2 of the hundreds. And I'm going to take one of these and make a copy so that I can do some tens. And I want to ask you something. Does this change anything? Does it change the value of the picture at all? It does not. So I can put it wherever I want it. I can turn it, but it still has 10 of those blocks. So let's do that again. I'm going to stack up another one. And I think I'm going to add another one to get 3 of those. So let's bring that right here. And then I'm going to add, let me think. I think I just want 2 of these. So this is kind of like building blocks. We're building value. I didn't mean to do that. Try this again. I'm trying to copy the 1. There we go. So let's do just 1 of those. Okay. So what is the value of this picture? I definitely don't want to count all those little blocks, but I need to know how many blocks there are in total. So let me come over here and let's draw a line right here. I have 2 hundreds, 2 of the blue ones. I have 3 of the 10 rods, the 10 units. And then I have 1 of the yellow units, and those are 1s. So those are 1 of my 1 blocks. So 200 would be a 2, a 0, and a 0. 3 10s would be 30. And 1 1 would be 1. So how many of those tiny little blocks are there all together? There are 231. And if I wanted to write that in word form, I would say 200. And remember, when I write 31, I need to use the hyphen. 231 of those tiny little blocks in that picture. Okay, the final unit I want to show you is 1,000. This red one has 1,000 of those little tiny blocks in one unit. Can you imagine if we had to count those one by one? We would have to take that thing apart and count what's in the middle, and it would get really, really confusing. But I can tell you that there are 10 this way, 10, 10 this way, and there are also 10 this way. That's what gives it that three-dimensional shape. So all of those little blocks get counted up to give me a unit of 1,000. So let me draw a little bit of stuff in here. We know that we have one of the thousands. And to write that, you would use a 1, a comma, and 3 zeros. 1,000. And let's bring in our 200s. I'm hoping I can fit this all in there. Maybe right there. And then I'm going to bring in a 10. So I'm back to my building blocks. I'm going to do one of those. Well, let's do 2 of those, and I'll cut out this one if I can. There we go. And then let's get some of the little ones. Let me just use these. I'm trying not to have to make more of them. And I should have done this before I started, but I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So let's put these in there. We're off the margin there a little bit, but that's okay. We'll come down here. So what is this number going to be? And let me separate it so we get a clear definition here. All right, so I have one of the thousands, one of the red ones. I have 2 of the hundreds. I have 2 of the tens. And I have 6 of the ones. So I'm just making a list here of all the things I have. And then I'm going to write them using digits. So 200, 2 tens, that's 20. And then 6 ones is just 6 by itself. So this number is 1,226. And if I wanted to write that in words, because we took the time to learn to spell these, I would say 1,000, comma, 200, 20-6. So I have given you a very thorough introduction to place value. And we have one more thing to do. Down here at the bottom, we need to summarize all that we've talked about on this page. So I'm going to write it. You can pause the video as needed. Don't feel rushed. Just pause the video. I'm going to try to fix that mess I made right here. There we go. All right, so here is the summary of this page. Our number system uses 10 digits. And let's just list those. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's the end of the sentence. These digits are used to make all numbers. You're not going to get to the next level of math and have to learn new digits. Units, and let's do parentheses, 1, 10, 100, and 1,000. Close parentheses. Make counting easier. I'm not going to write all this, but remember, instead of having to count all those little blocks one at a time, I can count by units and make counting much easier.